got a couple really big lineups that dropped recently. We got Coachella. They dropped their lineup this week. Lovers and Friends dropped their lineup this week.
And there's a lot of R&B names in these spaces that I'm seeing lately.
A lot of R&B names. Let's start with Lovers and Friends. Let's start with Lovers and Friends.
Lovers and Friends was interesting to me because I saw a few big names on there. I want to say Janet Jackson and Usher were the two biggest names at the top. But what was most interesting to me was I saw that it says Usher performing Confessions. So I like that this touring ram and these new concerts they're making you do, or revisiting their biggest albums and doing these anniversary tours. Like I think Jill Scott did that this past summer, where she did the anniversary of her very first album. So I like that they're revisiting, what basically made them who they are. So I was happy to see that. Janet Jackson, I know, is a big name on there. I was excited to see that. I would love to see Janet Jackson now.
Same. And she did her, I didn't see it, but from the clips that I saw from One Music Fest, she's still boom catting with the best of them.
Still got it. Who you excited to see?
I saw a lot of really interesting names. I think, Usher, of course. I feel like my biggest regret of 2023 was not seeing him in Vegas.
You hit that show, right, Jabari?
I did. He finished it out with 100 shows. I was probably at probably one of the top, one of the first 25. I think. And the show that we went to, then he took a break, and then he kind of like reimagined and revamped the show,
every
and then
show
came
a little
back
bit different every single time.
Yeah.
Took a break.
Yep. And it was for sure. One of the best. If I'm honest, I'm gonna say one of the best, but in terms of like right now living, who is a better R&B performer than Usher?
I think he's
the
biggest straight R&B, because there is some pop stuff in there, but that's why I like that it says Confessions on here. We're gonna get an R&B show from him at this festival.
And I think if we're gonna say like best performer, period, obviously, like we talk about Beyonce is like of course,
okay,
but no,
okay.
but I'm just saying like
no
straight
doubt.
R&B, like you know what I mean, like Beyonce is gonna give you some pop during that. She's gonna, but.
With this, they're saying
Confessions,
so it's going to be straight.
Yeah.
This is an R&B classic.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. And I don't think he's ever done that, And here's the thing. Whenever I see these, like, on the same lineup, they have Lil Wayne performing the Carter 3. It's not, they're not going, track 1 to 20, right? Like in full. I think it's
with
just
all those names on this lineup, impossible.
Yeah, I think they're just going to be
like
performing
hit for hit off of those.
Yeah. Those
it would be great to see it like that, though. I would love to see them both, honestly, performing inside. It is. You're right, but I would love to know how long their set times are.
Yeah, because Usher. When we saw Usher in Vegas, I think he had to do at least 2.5 hours. That's fine. Like that was the show was 2.5 hours. Yeah,
right. So a fest set time, maybe an hour max.
We pulled up the set times from last year's, and it was chaotic. Like you're not gonna see everybody. They have last year they had four
multiple
different stages,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And like one of the stages, it was like, shout out to their production team, because it was like damn near overlapping. It was really chaotic.
There is a lot of names on here. I don't know how you can't see everybody.
This is the question I have for y'all. Lovers and Friends Lovers and Friends, this is their third year.
Right.
They have kind of established themselves as this nostalgic, for right now, the era that they seem to be like, have a chokehold on is what, like 2000s, right? Like,
the early 2000s.
Early 2000s, even going to the late 2000s, 2000.
People who have established themselves.
You know what I mean?
Right,
yeah.
Right.
I would say, like, now that that's their MO, looking at this, it's like, who are you most excited to see? Or who would you be most excited to see on this lineup? And then who not, I don't want to say who shouldn't be on here, but
we can talk about
who is missing? Who could they have had on here that they don't have on here?
Okay, I'm gonna go first because I already thought about this. When I was reading this, I was like, the fact that I see Kelly Rowland's name on there, it's exciting because Kelly Rowland doesn't do a lot of concerts in America in general, North America. So to see her on a festival lineup, I'm like, okay, it's about to be straight hits, and I know she's gonna have a few backup dancers, and it's gonna be production. So I would be most excited to see Kelly Rowland, who I think should be on here. That's not like, we need some type of like Omarion, B2K, Bow Wow vibes. There's nobody on there like that, but there is Pretty Ricky. So I guess that's the same era of
Lloyd
time.
is on there too,
and Lloyd. So
Mario's on there,
right? So it's like, I think they're missing like an Omarion or Bow Wow, but I think, I mean, it's pretty stacked. I mean, they did their thing on this lineup right here.
Okay, I got one. I'm definitely most excited. I would be most excited to see like Janet, Mary J, of course.
Classics.
Mario is another one that I would really, really want to see. Oh, actually, see, as I'm saying this, I was gonna say I would really want to see Anne Marie on there, but she's on there.
Yeah,
and a lot of these people, this is their like second time playing, the
some
festival.
Like props to them. They're getting names on here that we haven't seen for a while, that we don't usually see.
Yeah. I think
Carrie
if
Hilson's
I went
on
to this
here.
show, the person who I would be most excited to see, and I'm gonna keep it R&B,
all day.
I would say T-Pain. T-Pain is a hell of a performer. He just did that covers show / album where he just like went through a wide variety of like genres and just covered so many different songs, and it really showed you his like range and vocal ability.
True artist.
He's supposed to do a residency.
Oh really? That would go off crazy for sure.
Supposed to do a residency.
I would love to see that.
Love
it,
because he's another boom catter.
Who I would have loved to see on here solo, that I think is like a missed opportunity, is Ray J. I think
without RSVP, just Ray J.
Yeah. I mean, and love RSVP. Shout out to the homies, but I think Ray J. Like, this is what people don't understand. I've been saying this for a while, right? And we've worked with Ray J before. Ray J has performed at a festival of ours.
Ray J's great. Ray
J by himself has 3 records that he can perform for the rest of his life, and they are always going to turn the crowd up.
That is very true.
One Wish.
1.
Wait a Minute.
2. He might need some DJ help here, y'all.
What's the other one?
Sexy Can I?
Sexy Can I, yes.
Sexy Can I?
And a bonus could be I Hit It First.
Yeah, because it's definitely a banger.
Yeah. I Hit It First is a bonus, and
he's such a troll.
No. That's not that.
That's Wait a Minute.
No. Yes, Wait a Minute.
Yeah, no, Hit It First.
We said that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, but I'm just saying, like, Ray J's got a 20-minute set, but 25-minute set for the rest of his life,
and it'll go off.
Everyone.
And he's a character.
Yeah. I was gonna say One Wish will last for at least 5 minutes.
It was giving comedy show.
When they were at the R&B Only Fest in Philly, and Ray J did One Wish, I mean,
that was the biggest part of
biggest moment. Yeah.
And it lasted about like 6 minutes.
Crazy.
And the song is what, like 3 minutes?
It's a long song.
Crazy.
But you can go a cappella the whole song after you sing it, and the crowd is gonna love it. Yeah, you're right. That is a missed opportunity.
So I would have liked to see Ray J on this festival.
On the flip side, we got Coachella.
Okay.
Another major lineup per usual.
Always. The R&B artists, they weren't too stacked on this one.
Right.
There's a few that I'm excited that are on there, like Victoria Monet. However, I don't think that there's enough. But Victoria Monet, I think that she's more than deserving to be on this lineup. And I saw Doja Cat is headlining one day. Would y'all consider her R&B?
Yeah, I think she can get in her R&B bag.
Okay.
But she raps so well and so often. I wouldn't necessarily just call her like a pure play R&B artist.
Right. I mean, well, that's where the difference comes in, and we're going to talk about that later. But that's where they were talking about back in what was that, like the late 90s, where you had to do so much crossing over to be considered a star that R&B artists started to make, pop sounding records. And that's when Billboard combined their R&B chart to hip hop and R&B because there was so much crossover.
Do you think that needs to end now? Like with the evolution of music and, there's still a lot of Yeah, I mean, with Billboard, even to this day, it's still considered R&B / hip hop.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
I feel like R&B has always deserved its own category.
Mm-hmm.
Always. I don't understand why they're combined. I feel like a lot of the times it's just if the artist is black, then it's R&B and hip hop. If the music is soulful, no matter what the race of the artist, it's going to be considered R&B.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
Renee Rapp be getting in. She's a little pop girly, but she be getting in that R&B space.
So it's like I feel
it.
like they deserve their own category, and R&B is not a color; it's a genre, and it's a sound. And I feel like we need our own chart.
This is the thing, though. What I've heard, I've had this discussion with a lot of like music industry peers, and I think it's about market share,
of course.
And when you separate the two, the market share, I guess, overall for like black music goes down.
Yeah.
And, you know, that has certain ramifications and, you know, consequences. So I don't know. It's interesting. But I just think, like, on the one hand, a big discussion in music is how, like, so many genres are blending.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like, as genres blend and you don't know how to classify people, it becomes, I think genres start to become more important. And it just is like a cyclical thing. Like it goes to like, okay, now you got artists who are like, no, I'm like really sticking in the R&B lane and this is what I'm making because.
Like Kenyon Dixon.
Yeah, you know.
Trying to do the old school R&B sound and keep it that way. And
you know, because they don't want it to
makes
like
people appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Which I agree with, but does that mean that the futuristic sound is not R&B though? So,
no, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think, man, it's just R&B is, the reality is that R&B is extremely diverse, but sometimes in the eyes of like the industry and even fans, I don't think people like to allow the diversification of R&B when classifying things as R&B. You know, as like the founder of this brand and like having to deal with some of our fans on what they think is R&B, and what they deem as R&B, you know, that's like it's always a constant battle and an argument. And I think it's like, I think a lot of this has to do with age. What do you guys think?
I think it does too, and sound. Like somebody like Blast, like an older person might not be like, oh, this is R&B, but we hear a melody and we're like, oh, it's R&B.
It's definitely a fine line. It's definitely a fine line, especially when I'm listening to like our submissions and stuff. I'm like I see why you would think
it's
to send
R&B.
This to an R&B brand, but this isn't giving R&B babes. Even I feel like some of Chloe's music doesn't really give R&B to me personally. It gives more pop than anything.
See, that distinction between R&B and pop, that's one that's like that you're always going to get that sort of dilemma.
That crossover thing, because
but
you want to have mainstream songs and you want to be considered on these hit charts, and to do that you got to have
pop.
But what I'm saying is like pop is like, it's hard. I mean, technically it's just popular music, right? So it's like,
that's what pop stands for.
Yeah, so you can have pop rap, you can have pop country, you can have pop. Okay. You know what I mean? True. So that's why I'm saying like it's hard to discern pop from any genre. The thing that I take issue with is when people are like, Ty Dolla $ign is not R&B, that's rap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
but he be hitting church runs, like you can
his
hear
whole like musical background and upbringing is like R&B,
gospel.
You know, gospel music.
Very
it's like
instrumentative.
Yeah, so it's that's the music fan I feel like that I take a issue with is not seeing and understanding that the evolution of R&B may include, you know, a little bit heavier bass and 808s or.
Well, this brings us back to the question: do you think Billboard would ever separate it then, because people put them in the same genre already? Like they're already in the same field of and that's why it says R&B and hip hop.
I think these entities are like slow to change, so I don't know if Billboard is gonna make any change or you know, for that matter, like, yeah, it's like there's unless there's like an uproar, there's no incentive to change it. You know, I think it's just they're just gonna keep grouping it in the same category.
R&B only.